What is good, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of Let's Talk Dynasty, brought to you by the League FFB. I'm glad each and every one of you guys are here with us tonight to talk some fantasy football. We're going to talk some free agent winners and losers. It's been about a week since that free agency period has opened. If you guys didn't catch, we did some immediate reactions on some live streams here later last week. But today we're going to talk about winners and losers. We've let it sit for a little bit. Now we actually kind of get to see a lay of the land, talk a little bit about how this is going to affect your Dynasty Fantasy Football teams. And obviously, because this is Let's Talk Dynasty, I got my co-host with me, MFG Deez. We each picked 2 winners and 2 losers from this first wave of the free agency period to talk about today. So 8 players total for y'all. So let's bring War into the building. Let's start talking some fantasy football. And I'm here to talk with you guys tonight too. So if you're in the chat, let us know. We'd love to communicate with you tonight. So let's get him in the building. MFG Deez, how you doing, man?
I'm in the building, as we say. I'm here.
Look, man, I'm like, I know I'm spending too much time in Jersey and in New York now. I've been around some of these BDGE guys, and they got me saying, "How you doing?" Like I'm doing this too much now, man. I'm getting some of that Jersey slang. It's out of control.
Wait till you start calling back bike. Then you really gonna be really be a part of the club.
Welcome bike. Yeah, man, it's getting out of hand. I've been saying how you doing too much. But look, man, I wanted to tell the folks real quick before we get into the episode, because it's a time-sensitive issue, nothing crazy. But what we got today is the League FFB. This channel is hosting its first ever March Madness tournament. So I sent it off to you, War. I sent it off to some other people. We are going to be doing a bracket challenge for our Discord members, for our viewers, for our subscribers. If anybody wants to get into it, free to join the Discord. The Discord is linked in the description. Once you get into that Discord, there is going to be a link in the announcements page. It is a $20 entry fee to hop up in here, build some brackets, try and win. Top 3 brackets get paid out, but it's all through League Safe, so I'm not collecting any money. It's safe in League Safe. We don't got to worry about none of that stuff. Just letting the people know, if you want to join a bracket tournament challenge, you have one more day. The payment deadline is tomorrow night. So if you see this tonight, you see this tomorrow, you think, hey, I want to play some March Madness with the boys, go join that Discord. It's free to join, linked in the description. You can play in some March Madness tournaments. I see we got somebody in here with us. Caleb says, is War a Bears fan? How could you not know this? How could you not know this? He is a Bears fan, my guy. I'm sure we'll get into that a lot tonight. But that's not what we're here for today, War. We're here to talk free agent winners and losers. We got them loaded up. I got them loaded up. We're going to start with the winners. We want to talk about the guys who benefited from free agency first. Then we'll talk about the guys who had a negative effect. But I want to start it off. You're going to be the first guy up. You nominated this guy, Saquon Barkley. He goes to the Philadelphia Eagles. And if you guys are not familiar with the news, you should be by now. He signed a 3-year, $37.75 million deal. And War, you love this for Saquon Barkley. Talk to me a little bit about why you like this.
I just feel like now Brian Dabble, he came in with a very reputable offensive, reputation of how he does things. I just feel like Saquon and that Eagles offense is just going to take off straight to the moon. That's a dynamic offense. And they were struggling a little bit. Like, I understand DeAndre Swift he's a very good running back. I get it, but he's no Saquon Barkley. And DeAndre Swift did pretty damn good in that Eagles offense. Now you replace him with a guy who was practically a generational running back. That's what he is. He hasn't been the same guy we're used to in recent memory, but he is still that dude. Make no mistakes about it. And I just love this. And I know there's going to be some concerns like, oh, what about Jalen Hurts taking a goal line, a tush push, blah, 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 blah. But it doesn't matter because maybe the Eagles factored that in. Maybe the Eagles don't want Jalen Hurts to be always doing the tush push. Now you got a guy in there, Saquon, absolute stud. He's going to get in there. They're going to hand him the rock. They're not going to spoon feed him. They're going to go full steam ahead with him. Obviously, it was something wrong with that offense last year, and this could be the change they need to move in the right direction.
Yeah, I mean, and I think we're also going to see how well that tush push works without Jason Kelce in the lineup, because Jason Kelce, we know, Hall of Famer, and we'll see how much he made up that tush push and how much he didn't, depending on how good it is this year. I have the statistics here for us. Saquon Barkley going from the New York Giants to the Philadelphia Eagles. The Philadelphia Eagles were one of only six teams in football last year had more than 500 rushing attempts. The Philadelphia Eagles were one of those teams. To give you an idea of where the Giants were on this list, they were bottom 15 in the NFL in rushing attempts. Obviously, this is partially because of game script. The Giants are not going to be winning a lot of football games. So what are they going to have to do? They're going to have to pass the football. They're going to have to abandon the run game. We know that Saquon Barkley can do some damage in the receiving game. That's a given. What I think has never been really seen from Saquon Barkley, and maybe a little bit earlier on in his career when he was playing with Eli Manning, we saw a little bit of this, but not recently when he's been giving heavy rushing workloads and being able to see what he can do when he's given 20, 25 carries a game. Like, I feel like that is going to be a big difference maker for Saquon Barkley. I think this is a upgraded offensive line, an upgraded offense. There's going to be more touchdown opportunities. There's a lot of things to like about Saquon Barkley here. And then also let the money talk to you. It's 3 years, $37 million. They don't really pay running backs like that these days. And they decided they wanted to go out and pay running back in Saquon Barkley. I think all in all, it's a good signing for Saquon. And I think we can, at the bare minimum, feel better about where Saquon Barkley's floor is right now.
Yes. I think his floor is still a stud, man. Like, okay, look, honestly, I'm gonna ask you a question. Is his floor at least what Swift did in last year's offense?
At the minimum, his floor. No, it's higher than that, but at the minimum, I'll tell you right now. I think I was talking with Adam ATM from South Harmon, does stuff with BDG. I was talking with Nick this last weekend. We were talking about Saquon Barkley, and Adam says he is now a top 6 running back in Dynasty Fantasy Football. Like, all of Dynasty Fantasy Football, he put him to the top 6. He said it may be a little irrational to move him up that high that quickly, but that tells you what kind of an upgrade this is going to be for Saquon Barkley. People are very excited about this. I think for me, I would be shocked if he was not at minimum a top 10 running back this year.
I mean, I think it's one of those cases where people are prisoners of the moment. Saquon, he's had some injuries. You know, he's been stuck in that offense for the Giants. You have to remember, this is a guy, we're talking about a running back that was considered 1A, 1B with Christian McCaffrey. That's what we're talking about. We're talking about the guy, a running back of the same ilk as Christian McCaffrey. So when you put that into account, top 6, yes. I mean, we put C-Max up there. So maybe, you know, and C-Max still doing this thing. So I definitely could see top 10. I think that's the floor, man. Top 6, it could be even better than that, to be honest.
Yeah, I mean, I'm just looking at the fantasy points per game from Saquon Barkley in his career at this point. As a rookie, 24 fantasy points per game. That was the 3rd best in the NFL. Then his sophomore year, number 7 in fantasy points per game. He had the injury in 2020, so we didn't have a actual fantasy points per game number because he missed a lot of the time. Recovering from the injury in 2021, 27th in fantasy points per game. I think that's where you feel like a lot of people kind of went out on Saquon Barkley. They saw the injury, then they saw the year afterwards where he had to recover from it. And they said, well, I don't want to touch a running back that has an injury. I'm out. I don't want it anymore. And that narrative kind of spun. But when you look at 2022, Saquon Barkley, 17.8 fantasy points per game, top 5 at the running back position, wasn't being valued the same way coming into this year in 2023. And then he put up 16 fantasy points per game, another top 10 season from Saquon Barkley. It was number 9 overall. So he's got back to that top 10 numbers that we keep seeing. We saw it his rookie and sophomore year. He had the injury, and we've seen it the last 2 years, and now he gets an upgraded situation. It just feels like it's going to be more of the same, if not even better, for Saquon Barkley moving forward. And I think it's going to be better. I think we really could see a top 5 fantasy points per game type of year out of Saquon Barkley. And obviously with running backs, health is going to be the thing that's going to mean the most. If he stays healthy, he's going to be damn good. And I think that's the way it's going to be.
Yeah, I agree. Honestly, man, I could see Saquon being in top 3.
I feel it. And I'll tell you right now, in dynasty leagues, the price is probably a lot more affordable than what the production is going to be. I can't imagine. I mean, if I just go over to Keep Trade Cut right now, seeing where Saquon Barkley is currently sitting in their rankings at their running back positions, we pull it up. You just start scrolling down a little bit more. And as we scroll down this list, Saquon Barkley starts popping up as running back 8 in the same tier, the same exact tier as Travis Etienne and Kenneth Walker. If I had to make you pick today, you have to take one of those 3 running backs on your team for the next 2 years. It's Saquon, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Go higher. Who else is there? Because I'm having a hard time with 8.
You want to know who's above him?
Yep.
Kyren Williams. Kyren Williams or Saquon?
Saquon.
Okay, above him is Devon Achane. Achane or Saquon?
Saquon.
And then after that, you're in the tier of Jonathan Taylor, Christian McCaffrey, Breece Hall, Jahmyr Gibbs, Bijan Robinson.
And that's the tier he should be in. Like, to me, it's almost kind of laughable that they even have Achane and freaking Kyren. Dude, okay. Dude, I feel like the Kyren thing is kind of getting a little bit crazy. Let's pump our brakes here. Let's see what he does this season before we start like putting him above Saquon Barkley. I think that's kind of just Achane too. Like Achane, the kid might not even stay healthy. So let's pump the brakes here. Let's pump the brakes.
Yeah, I agree. I think I would put Saquon right there too. And if you did put him there, he is sitting at running back 6, which is where Adam ATM said he had Saquon Barkley sitting. So it makes sense to put him there. I feel like for me, people are going to see the age. People are going to see some things like that. And they're going to be like, it's a risky buy. If you're a contending roster, I'm buying Saquon more than I'm buying Kyren Williams. And right now, apparently, you can flip Kyren Williams for Saquon plus, according to where the market is right now. If you could do that, I'm doing that all day long.
That's insane.
It's insane. It's insane. But all right, let's move on to our next guy. I have one of the players that I nominated loaded up, and this guy got a bump due to the situation around him changing. So he didn't change situations. But look, man, Drake London is a big winner in this free agency period. Obviously, the big reason why he is a winner right now is Kirk Cousins signs a 4-year, $180 million contract with the Atlanta Falcons. This is a team that now has a head coach from the Sean McVay coaching tree. So what the assumption is that there's going to be some familiarity between a Kevin O'Connell offense that came from Sean McVay and a Raheem Morris offense that came from Sean McVay as well. There should be some similarities. So when you're looking at what you think this Atlanta Falcons offense should kind of have shades of, should have shades of Minnesota. It should have shades of Los Angeles. And what has Los Angeles and Minnesota both done over the last couple of years that has showed us tried and true? Cooper Kupp, Puka Nacua, whoever is the wide receiver 1, they get peppered with targets. Justin Jefferson, the best wide receiver in football. He's peppered with targets, but I also think partly it is because he's just that damn good. But also, when he was injured, Jordan Addison saw a lot of targets. TJ Hawkinson saw a lot of targets. Who are they coming from? Kirk Cousins. This is a guy who is going to see a ton of targets in this Atlanta Falcons offense. And right now, he is starting to rise. The ADP is starting to rise pretty rapidly for Drake London. And I think because people have been so excited about Drake London, I'm not saying this is a buy window, but he's surely a goddamn winner because what you look at him right now, he is wide receiver 9 in Dynasty Fantasy Football rankings on Keep Trade Cut. The only guys above him are A.J. Brown and Garrett Wilson. They're in the same tier. So that is where Drake London is being valued right now. it's a good tier. It's a good tier to be in, a big winner here, but it feels like we got really high on him really quickly.
I'm going to play devil's advocate.
Okay.
Because I think there's something that a lot of people are kind of just glossing over in this whole Kirk going to Atlanta, Drake London boost thing. I think a lot of people have forgotten that there's actually 2 generational players on that offense.
Bijan
One of them has been hampered. One of them has been hampered by horrible quarterback play. So, yeah, I can understand Drake is on the rise, but let's not forget about Kyle Pitts, because we could very well see a scenario where Kyle Pitts is indeed the biggest beneficiary of Kirk going to Atlanta. Now, that's not to say that Drake isn't going to get a boost. He's still going to get a boost. But I really do believe the man on that offense could very well be Kyle Pitts, because as far as quarterbacks, he's been given a raw deal since the moment he stepped foot in Atlanta.
Yeah, man. I mean, I'm just pulling up some of the numbers. These are numbers from Drake London's rookie season. We don't have charting numbers from his year 2 yet. I'm sure we'll have them very quickly, but I'm pulling up reception perception by Matt Harmon. It shows you just how guys win at the NFL level, how often they're winning in these routes. Drake London, he had a 72% success rate versus man coverage, 81% success rate versus zone coverage, 72% success rate versus press, and a 73% success rate versus double teams as a rookie. And he was playing with Taylor Heineke, then Desmond Ridder. And last year, the Atlanta Falcons were bottom 5 in the NFL in passing attempts. Arthur Smith coaching them. You flip this whole thing around, man. I think this is a totally new offense, a totally new situation for Drake London. And even in this bad offense, he had 109 targets for 69 receptions last year for 900 yards, 2 touchdowns. It's ridiculous how bad the situation affected Drake London's performance. And I think for me, this is a guy that I'm not necessarily saying that you want to be buying into at this price. I mean, I already kind of talked about that. I think that this price at this point, we're evaluating him right now at his ceiling. This is where we're valuing him right now. But if you had Drake London, if you bought him before Kirk Cousins signed to the Atlanta Falcons, if you got into this somehow, you'd been holding and you were just like, eventually this is going to get better. I think it happened, guys. Like, I think it's to a point where we're here. And honestly, it's early, but I could see an argument for in your redraft leagues or just looking strictly in Dynasty for next season. I see an argument where we can talk about Drake London as a top 12, top 15 wide receiver. And if he's that for you, we are very excited to have Drake London on our teams.
We are very excited. I have a Drake London share, and we are very excited to have him on our team. But I'm just saying, man, there's something pulling away from that. But the numbers are there, man. I'm just saying, man.
I think there's enough. I think there's enough to go around for everybody. It's not going to be like crazy. I don't think. I mean, we saw Tyjae Hawkinson and Justin Jefferson and Jordan Addison. We saw all those guys eat this year. Like, they all ate this year. They all had good seasons.
You know what, Andrew? Watch your mouth, man. Don't forget they got the Moon Man over there. To the moon. They got the Moon Man over there. He's landing. One step for man, one small leap. I'm telling you, look. I'm telling you. Don't sleep on Darnell. I'm just kidding, man. Darnell Mooney, he's out of there. He's out of there. But yeah, man. I'm excited to see what Atlanta does, man. Like, let's see what they can do with some competent quarterback play.
I think it'll be good. I'm excited to see it. I think it puts them in a situation where, I mean, look, do we feel like going into next season early on? I'm sure we did these shows last year. I'm sure we'll do it again going into this year, but do they feel like a favorite to win the division for you right now?
You gotta kind of just keep your eye on the Bucks. You gotta keep your eye on the Bucks there, but they definitely are one of 2 teams that I think will win that division. Saints, I don't know what the Saints are doing, but y'all can see it being a
hot take. The Saints are going to be the worst team in the division this year. Carolina's going to be better than them.
All right, man. Are you speaking with your head or your heart?
Both. Both of
I
them.
know you want Bryce to succeed, so we got to see, man, because I'm telling you right now, man, that thing in Carolina, man, that thing is looking real like, what's the biggest comp I can make to an owner getting too involved and screwing up the team?
Wasn't the
Jim
guy
Irsay or something? Like, I don't know.
Yeah, I was
Like,
gonna say your Chicago Bulls guy back in the Last Dance years.
Yeah, but they did that after the championships. You know what I'm saying? Like, so you can't really count that. Like, their owners just.
What was his name again?
Which one?
The Bulls.
Jerry Reinsdorf. Yeah,
I remember when I was watching that Last Dance documentary.
Yeah,
he rubbed some people wrong in that building.
He still owns them. And if you ever wonder why Nikola Vucevic is getting $20-something million, Jerry Reinsdorf.
There you go. All right, man. Well, I do think we got a good situation in Atlanta forming right now. I'm excited for the weapons. I think everybody should be excited for the weapons. And hopefully, fingers crossed, they get proven for tampering with Kirk Cousins and we get their pick. So that's all I hope. Fingers crossed.
Hey, I'm glad you mentioned that because by proxy of Kirk opening his mouth, we might even get a pick. So you was recruiting Darnell Mooney the whole time. You was recruiting the guy we didn't want. Thanks for the draft pick we needed.
Yeah. Kirk Cousins saying that before the legal tampering window opened, he was talking with trainers and stuff in his first presser. I was like, Kirk, you opened your mouth, but you might have gave the Vikings a gift on the way out the door. I appreciate you, Kirk. Thank you again. But all right, man.
Darnell Mooney.
And second to last topic, because you brought it up, for the record, on the record, here on this podcast, I no longer have any Bryce Young shares in any leagues. I've sold every single Bryce Young share off. So they're all gone.
But you still believe in them.
I still love the kid. I still love the kid. I still believe in the kid. I just couldn't hold the risk of Bryce Young anymore. So with that being said, let's go talk. Yeah, I'm sure you get it. Let's talk about your next guy. The next guy we're going to talk about is Derrick Henry. Derrick Henry, he signs a free agent contract with the Baltimore Ravens. This deal right here for Derrick Henry was a 2-year, $16 million deal. So, War, talk to me about why we like Derrick Henry.
I don't even care about the money, man. Like, they could have gave him $12 million. I wouldn't have cared, man. It's just perfection. Hard-nosed city. Hard-nosed power running back. Pushing people over, stiff-arming them, throwing them into the bleachers. That's the type of guy Derrick Henry is. And now he's a Baltimore Raven. It's almost like a match made in heaven. It's like a bus mating with a train and just running shit over. Just like that's what they need. Now, I understand Derrick Henry is a little long in the tooth. I get it. But he don't got to carry the whole load by himself no more. That's not how the Ravens offense operates. Going to have a little bit of help from Lamar. Hopefully not too much. Not in the goal line. Lamar, stay over there. Hopefully, we got Keaton Mitchell, coming in, with a change of pace. And I guess you mix in some Justice Seal or whatever. But Derrick Henry in that offense, just like Chef's Kiss, is the perfect match. This is the perfect match, man. When it gets cold out there and they got to do the bruising thing against the Steelers and the Browns and the Bengals. It's just great, man. I just love the fit with him in that offense. I love it.
Yeah, man. I mean, talking about rushing attempts, when we were talking about the Eagles and Saquon Barkley, Baltimore led the NFL in rushing attempts. Mm-hmm. They lead the NFL in rushing attempts. This is what they do. This is the identity of the Baltimore Ravens, is run the damn football. You get a guy who is known for running the damn football. This is Derrick Henry, man. And I think last year, when I look at the stats for Derrick Henry, I love the fit. I think this is another guy where we talk about the difference between Dynasty and a redraft. In Dynasty, he's going to be good for you for a year. The price is not going to be what the production is because people don't want to invest in a 30-year-old running back.
No.
But in your redraft leagues, I'd be shocked. I'd be shocked if Derrick Henry is not a top 2-round pick in your redraft leagues. People will be going crazy for Derrick Henry in Baltimore because he's going to produce, assuming that the running back age cliff doesn't hit him at 30 years old. That is what is the scary part in Dynasty Fantasy Football. And I think last year I was looking at some of the stats. I was talking about some of the things about Derrick Henry, and he saw a slight dip in production last year. I think there's a couple things that we can attribute this to. The efficiency numbers didn't necessarily fall, but the volume came down. And I think that's because Tyjae Spears got involved. I think that's because the offense in Tennessee as a whole got worse. And so there was less volume, less opportunity for Derrick Henry. I think some people are going to see that dip in production from Derrick Henry and think he already got hit by the age cliff. The efficiency metrics don't really show that at this point. I don't know how, because with the amount of wear and tear on those legs right now, it feels like this is a risky bet. But productivity-wise, he was number 2 in the NFL in rushing yards, number 6 in the NFL in total touchdowns. His yards per carry was still fine. He was top 10 in evaded tackles, top 8 in breakaway run rate, top 2 in breakaway runs. Derrick Henry still produced. It's wild to think that at 30 years old, with as much wear and tear, Derrick Henry is still that guy, but he's shown it, and it makes you feel like this is a safe bet at the running back position. And then you see the age, and then you're like, maybe it's not. I don't know. I don't know how to judge Derrick Henry from an age perspective, because I feel like for 3 years now, we've been saying, well, Derrick Henry's getting a little bit older. He's getting a little bit more wear and tear on the tires. And it never happens. It never happens. It never happens. We know eventually it has to happen. It has to happen eventually. But you put him in a situation like this, it's going to be incredible for Derrick Henry.
Okay, let me do my best Andrew impersonation. Okay. You're going to play a game, all right? I'm going to name a draft asset in Dynasty, and you're going to tell me, what are you trading that for Derrick Henry?
From a contender lens, I'm a contending team buying Derrick Henry, or I'm a rebuilding team selling Derrick Henry.
You are a contending team or a team that's in the middle.
Okay, and I'm buying.
As you told me I was the other day, my team, a fraud. A fraud. Okay. Are you trading an early third round?
Hold on. Just clarify. Yeah, I am the buyer.
You're a buyer.
Okay, cool. I'm the buyer.
All right. Are you trading an early third round pick?
Absolutely.
Are you trading a late second round pick?
Absolutely.
Are you trading a mid second round pick?
Yes.
Well, I feel like you drifted towards no for this next one.
We're getting close.
Are you trading the early second round pick?
That is where the conversation starts. I think as a contending roster, or I feel like if I'm a contender and I feel like the running back is going to push me over the edge and I'm going to become a top tier contender, I'm willing to do the early second. If I'm middle of the pack, I'm a little bit more hesitant, but I think that early second is where he's going to be valued. And I think that's what it's going to take. There's no way that anybody's going to give you a first round pick for Derrick Henry. I can't imagine that that's going to happen unless it's like at the trade deadline and they're like scrambling for players to fill in and Derrick Henry's been balling. Maybe they throw a first at you. But right now,
you're not trading like 1.9 or 1.10 for Derrick Henry.
No, not right now.
But the early second is definitely on the table.
Yeah, I'd do an early second for Derrick Henry, I think.
Because I feel like he's a buy. He's a buy. I think a lot of people are sleeping on him right now. I've been sleeping on him for years. I just decided that this year I'm not going to do it, and thankfully he went to the Ravens. But I think you could have went into like the last 3 seasons saying like, yeah, man, I think this is it for him. This is the year of the cliff. So now I've adopted the idea that until he falls off the cliff, he's still on the mountain. So that's just where I'm at with him. And I do agree that an early second is appropriate for Derrick Henry. I don't know what I traded for him earlier a few weeks ago, but I do think the right price is an early second.
Yeah, I agree. I totally agree. And I think it's team contingent. You know, if you're a contender, that makes total sense. Obviously, if you're a rebuilding team, we're not buying Derrick Henry. That's just not the way that goes. But contending roster, that makes total sense. So just to give you an idea of where he's being valued in dynasty leagues right now, running back 18 on Keep Trade Cut. He is the running back 18, right in the same tier as these 5 running backs. He's stuck in the middle of these guys: David Montgomery, Javonte Williams, Tyjae Spears, Joe Mixon. Honestly, in that tier, Joe Mixon is a buy as well. I think it's the veteran running back. We've seen the veteran running backs in free agency get a bump, and their values in dynasty right now. But let's move on to my next guy. I'm going to talk about a wide receiver who got signed the other evening. Hollywood, Marquise Hollywood Brown. We knew a wide receiver was going to go to the Kansas City Chiefs. Some people thought Calvin Ridley. Some people thought T. Higgins. It ends up being Hollywood Brown. Hollywood Brown goes to Kansas City. He gets to pair with Patrick Mahomes. Look, man, he's going to get the Kansas City bump. And that in itself is a win for his dynasty fantasy football value, because I feel like with the injury kind of year that he had last year, a lot of people were getting out on Hollywood Brown. Nobody wanted Hollywood Brown. And then there was the uncertainty with him being a free agent. I don't think there's anything uncertain about Patrick Mahomes being your quarterback. At that point, the price of admission just got a lot more expensive for Hollywood Brown. I did a dynasty startup mock draft recently. Hollywood Brown, I think, if I'm remembering correctly, went in the 6th round of the startup, in the same breath as guys like Deebo Samuel, just shortly after the tier of like T. Higgins and those guys. Like, people were talking about Hollywood Brown up there. His value's getting really crazy. It's going to get crazy. My question I'm going to ask you, War, is do you feel like the addition of Hollywood Brown and having Rashee Rice break out last year, Travis Kelce being there, do you feel like they've kind of solved the wide receiver position issue that they had in Kansas City, or do you think there's still another guy that they're going to add in the draft?
Yes, because you were trying to fill with Rice and Kelce there. You were trying to fill that third void with bums. Tony, MVS. I'm sorry, he's a bum. Who else comes in there?
Sky Moore. Tony.
Sky Moore. Like, it's just like none of those guys are Hollywood Brown. You have to also remember that people were in love with Hollywood Brown. Like, people loved him when he was a Raven. Then he went to the Cardinals, and then do you remember that stretch of time where it was just Hollywood and Hopkins wasn't there, and Hollywood was putting up like ungodly like numbers? Like,
yes,
you can get that again in Kansas City, because I guarantee you there's enough to go around for Rice, Kelce, and Hollywood, because those other guys were nothing. Like, they were nothing. Like, with all due respect, wish them the best in their careers, but they were nothing. Like, and now you put Hollywood in there with Patrick Mahomes. Are you kidding me? Yeah, like, I fear for what could happen. I fear for what could happen to the AFC West. I'm glad my team isn't in there. And if you got Hollywood on your team, you either need to move him for very premium assets, or you need to be – I don't think you can get him. I don't think you can acquire him for cheap anymore. I looked at him on your team the other day. I seen him there, and I seen your little note there, a little cute note there. Wide receiver one in Kansas City. And I said, never mind.
I was mainly doing that to troll everybody once he got signed, because I remember in that league, everybody was kind of giving me the whole, we don't want Hollywood treatment. That was the treatment I was getting all off season. We don't want Hollywood Brown. And then he landed in Kansas City, and I said, oh, you guys don't want Hollywood Brown, huh? Nobody wanted Hollywood Brown. Well, now you can't have him. But the reality is, I'd move Hollywood Brown for, like you said, if you can get a value bump in the value, which it's going to be there. People are going to value him differently today than they did 2 weeks ago. it's worth exploring yourselves. And honestly, when we look at Kansas City, man, like we don't even need to talk about Patrick Mahomes being the quarterback, and we don't need to talk about that being the upgrade because that's obvious. But just look at like what they did schematically last year in Kansas City. The only team to throw more than the Kansas City Chiefs last year was the Washington Commanders. So let's let this sink in real quick because it was one more passing attempt. The Washington Commanders threw more than everybody in the NFL, but they're a bad football team. They're picking number 2 overall.
They suck.
The Super Bowl champions threw the football more than everybody else in the NFL, and they won the Super Bowl. Think of the quality difference in those passing attempts.
Yeah.
If Hollywood Brown is going to a Super Bowl championship team that threw the football more than anybody, a guy in Patrick Mahomes who has an arm as good as anybody's, and his type of game where he excels the most is in the deep ball. It's going to be Hollywood touchdowns for days in Kansas City.
Yeah, you've seen that little exchange he had with Andy Reid, like, yeah, call me Hollywood or whatever he said. Like, so, oh yeah, man, it's gonna be fireworks, man, in Kansas City. He's gonna be catching touchdowns, eating Kansas City barbecue in the end zone. Oh yeah,
it's gonna be exciting for him. And we got Jalen in here. Jalen, he says, "Yo, Andrew, I listen to your stuff all the time, and I've never had the time to say what's up. I know you are a small channel, but I'm a big supporter, and I love your stuff, brother." So, Jalen, I appreciate you so much, man. Really, it really does mean the world when you got people out here willing to support small channels. So, I appreciate you being here. It means a lot to me, and thank you for spending some time with us tonight. But with that being said, should we move on to the losers? And actually, let's finish one more talking point to Hollywood Brown because we've done it for the other guys. Right now, Hollywood Brown is being valued in the tier. This is the test where I feel like we're gonna say guys above him, and you're gonna say no, I'd rather have Hollywood Brown. I think he's gonna move up. But let's talk about it because Hollywood Brown currently being valued as wide receiver 34 on Keep Trade Cut. Guys above him, Hollywood Brown or Devontae Adams.
Okay, you know what? I'm higher on Devontae Adams than most, but I can see why someone would take Hollywood over Devontae Adams.
It's 31. It's the age that people would get scared of.
Yeah.
But let's say Hollywood Brown or rookie Brian Thomas Jr. right now.
Hollywood Brown.
Okay, Hollywood Brown or Jaden Reed.
I know it's your son, but Hollywood Brown.
Hollywood Brown or George Pickens?
Very similar guys. I'll take Hollywood Brown. Yeah.
Quarterback
Hollywood Brown.
Okay, if you're taking him there, we're already up to like wide receiver 26, and he's being valued as wide receiver 34. So Hollywood Brown or JSN today?
I'm taking JSN because I believe in his ability.
Okay. Hollywood or T. Higgins? I think this is the tier where you're like, I'm not going those guys, or I'm not taking Hollywood over those guys.
T. Higgins is my boy, man. Man, you know, I'm a T. Higgins guy.
So I think there's a real consideration here where we're talking about Hollywood Brown as a top 25 to top 30 wide receiver. He hasn't even adjusted on Keep Trade Cut up to that point right now. So maybe if you can purchase him at that 34 price, the wide receiver 34 price, you'll get a good value on him when we see him rise like we think he's going to rise. But if people have Hollywood Brown on their teams, my guess is that they're already valuing him up there at that top 25 type of wide receiver. And at that point, it's up to you to see if you want to buy in at where we think he's going to be at, or if you just want to let somebody else have the ride to Hollywood.
Yeah.
So, all right, man. Well, let's talk about the losers. And before we talk about the losers, I want to let you guys know, over on Underdog Fantasy, we do have a partnership with people over on Underdog Fantasy. So if you sign up, first-time users, first-time depositors over on Underdog who use code LEAGUEFFB, you see it right there in the white. If you use that code or you use the link in the description to sign up, they will give you a 100% deposit match up to $100, meaning if you deposit $100 or even if you deposit $10, they will match that exactly dollar for dollar with your deposit. So make sure you go sign up. They will also give you a free mystery pick'em, which means it'll be something at this time of year. It's most likely going to be NBA basketball. It's probably going to be the last one we saw them give away was De'Aaron Fox for 1 point. If De'Aaron Fox scored 1 point, that leg cashed. So go sign up on Underdog Fantasy. Use code LeagueFFB. All right, guys. I do see we got Jalen who says, how much higher is Caleb Williams' value now with the free agent moves than it was pre-free agency? We're going to talk about that because we're going to get into Chicago Bear here in the losers section, actually, War. So he's the next guy up. We'll talk about it. But the first guy we're going to talk about is former Chicago Bear, Justin Fields. And you nominated Justin Fields as a loser in this section. So this seems like it's going to be a vent session for us today, War.
Oh, no, for the love of Justin.
Talk to me about Justin.
Where do I start? First and foremost, I'm going to miss the kid, respect the kid. Let's go down the path of why he's a loser. He's a winner in our hearts. He's a winner in our hearts. But, okay. First and foremost, Justin Fields is indeed one of the top 32 quarterbacks in the NFL. There's not that many quarterbacks better than Justin Fields, okay? Okay. For him to get, okay, there's so much to, okay, hold on. First and foremost, let's talk about the word respect. How dare these GMs not get on the phone the first day they were able to and beg the Bears to trade Justin Fields for a second-round pick or higher. Why didn't your team do it? Why didn't your team do it, Andrew? Why? I understand why the Falcons didn't do it. I understand Kirk is he's a safer option, but you know what, man? I'm feeling crazy. I still would have traded for Justin Fields, even if I had Kirk on the team. I could go down a list of NFL teams that should have been trying to employ Justin Fields. But what happens? He gets traded for a conditional 6th-round pick. Are you kidding me? I feel horrible for the kid. I felt horrible for the kid. When I chose Justin Fields as the loser, I was going under the assumption that this kid was going to have to be Jalen Hurts' backup. But within the losses, within being a loser, there's a small glimmer of hope. That glimmer of hope is called Mike Tomlin. And the reason why the Bears got such a crappy return for Justin Fields is because they actually traded Fields to the team he wanted to be traded to. Falcons were on this, but obviously for obvious reasons that wasn't going to happen. They wanted him to go to Mike Tomlin. So that is a small win for him, but I don't think it's big enough to not make him be a loser because he should be starting. Gardner Minshew, Aiden O'Connell, freaking Jarrett Stidham, Sam Darnold, even though we kind of think we know what the Vikings are trying to do. Like all these teams with these bum quarterbacks, you don't think you can use a quarterback that can give you freaking 200 passing yards, 1 touchdown, 100 rushing yards, and 1 rushing touchdown? Are you kidding me? Justin Fields, man. What are you doing? Jesus Christ.
Griffin says Justin Fields is a winner. No more winners in Chicago. No more knucklehead play calling. An extended career doing nothing as a career backup, leading to a healthy, rich retirement at a young age.
Yeah, he's a winner in that sense. Yeah.
Here's the thing, man.
Okay, let's go.
I love Justin Fields. I liked Justin Fields a lot coming in as a prospect. In fact, War, the people don't know. I liked Justin Fields before you liked Justin Fields.
Yeah.
I liked Justin Fields more than you liked Justin Fields.
Yeah.
But the NFL had told us something. Now, I do think that there's a lot that has not reached the surface yet in the way that this was handled, in the way that things happened in the NFL. There's a lot of things that don't necessarily add up. And what my mom always told me was, if it doesn't add up, it's because it doesn't make sense. Hey. So that means there's probably some stuff we don't know about. We don't have all the information yet. We'll figure it out. But what I do want to talk about for Justin Fields is I bought into the Justin Fields experiment this offseason. I thought, you know what? I'm going to get in while the value's a little bit low. There's the ambiguous situation of, they're going to go Caleb Williams. We all think we know that they're going to go Caleb Williams. And at the time, it was, let's buy into the guy and see if we can get him to land in Atlanta, because that would be good for his stock, and I can buy low and sell high. Mm-hmm. That was like buying into GameStop at the end of the stonks era, baby. That was bad. Because it just kept going down and down and down and down. It didn't look like it was ending, but now he goes to Pittsburgh, and immediately after the trade comes out, Mike Tomlin, multiple reports come out where they're like, guys, Russell Wilson is our starter. We've already told Justin that he's the backup to Russell Wilson this year. Mm-hmm. We paid Russ 1 year to come in, be a veteran. But this is a move for the Pittsburgh Steelers where 2025 and beyond, when Russ's contract is not there anymore, gives them flexibility. Maybe we can move with Justin Fields if we like what he did in the quarterback room, if we like what he did on the field in practice, if we like what he did backing up and grew behind Russell Wilson. Mm-hmm. That's something that I think gives Justin Fields a little bit of hope.
But what do you think about the reports that Russell, they're going to want to discuss a long-term deal with Russell?
I think he's going to have to earn it on the field, right? He'll have to earn that. And the reality is, I don't know if any team is eager to go out and pay Russell Wilson, especially because Denver is still paying Russell Wilson right now. They're paying him $40 million.
To be honest, I think he's going to stink up the joint.
And if he does, Justin Fields will see the field, and it'll give him an opportunity to prove in a new situation that he is that guy. And, that's what it's going to be. So if my advice for people who like Justin Fields, who want to buy into Justin Fields, this new landing spot is going to have people who have been holding the Justin Fields experiment for the last 6 months that have had to go through that. Oh man, this is getting worse and worse and worse. It's going to have some of those guys being eager to get Justin Fields off the team right now. Hey, new situation. Let me sell him right now. I just don't want to wait anymore. I don't want him on my team. That's what's going to happen. In fact, I did that with Justin Fields on the team, where I had held the experience in the offseason. I had kind of remolded my quarterback room in a super flex league to where I had the flexibility to get out of Justin Fields when the opportunity arose. I moved him for a 110. I will tell you guys right now, that's probably not a realistic price for you to
take it from me. It's not.
I got a first round pick and a future 2025 third for Justin Fields. Don't tell me how I did it. I do have a career background in sales. That's the only thing I can tell you. So maybe your local used car salesman. That's who I am, man. I'm your local Justin Fields salesman. That's what I was. But I will say there's going to be people excited to get out of Justin Fields. So if you do believe in Justin Fields, you think your roster has the longevity, the kind of a long play on Justin Fields where you can say, I don't need Justin Fields to play snaps on my dynasty team this year. But maybe you have an Aaron Rodgers. Maybe you have a Kirk Cousins. Maybe you have a Matthew Stafford that's a little bit older. And you say, I'm okay to give my 208, my 207 this year and get Justin Fields and just throw him on the bench. I'm okay to pay that second round pick and go get him. You're probably not paying the 201, 202, 203. Those aren't, you can get him for a cheaper price. But if you pay that late second, go get Justin Fields. I think that's a good price to pay for him if you still believe in him. And if you want to sell him, a second round pick, you might just be willing to cut your costs at that point. Like a second round pick, you might just say, hey, let me get out. I'm done. And that's fine too. I think it all depends on how people view Justin Fields. When we've seen him play, we know the rushing upside is tremendous. We know the fantasy points are tremendous. I would say that the situation in Pittsburgh is probably going to be similar to the situation that he was being developed in Chicago. One wide receiver, a decent tight end, decent running backs, mediocre offensive line, mediocre coaching. I think it's very similar. And I say coaching not from Mike Tomlin perspective, the offensive coordinator, Arthur Smith.
Oh, yeah.
Mediocre.
Oh.
So I think that that's kind of what it's going to be like for Justin Fields. But if those are the facts, you get to make your decision on where you want to be with him. I'm interested to hear you guys. If you've made it to this point of the video, you're watching the replay, let me know in the comments below. Are you guys buying Justin Fields now going into Pittsburgh? Or are you selling Justin Fields going into Pittsburgh? I'm interested to hear. I'm interested to hear. But we do have Griffin who says Justin's arm isn't bad at all. He just doesn't do a great job of reading the defenses. And in Chicago, he refused to adjust, or Chicago refused to adjust to help him. And then Jalen says, I've never been a fan of QBs that have better feet than arms. Just my opinion, but I'm a Giants fan, so I've been depressed for years. So totally get it. Totally get it. But let's move on to my next guy. And we're going to keep it Chicago Bears related. And this is where we'll get into your question that you asked earlier in the show, Jalen, because I think a loser in this free agency period is Keenan Allen. It's Keenan Allen. And War, you told me when I sent you the thumbnail for today's video, you said, oh, you must be trying to get a little clickbaity. And I said, no, I really think he's a loser because I'll present the information to you. And
all right, present it. Go ahead.
This is really the way that I view this. And let's bring up Jalen's question back up on, because I think I can get into that right now a little bit. Jalen says, how much higher is Caleb Williams' value now with free agents than it was pre-free agency? So with that being said, we know that the Chicago Bears, they bring in Keenan Allen. You guys traded a 4th round pick, fact check me, War, 4th round pick for Keenan Allen?
Yes, we did.
So that happens. You bring in DeAndre Swift. Mm-hmm. We expect the weapons to be better this year. Certainly expect them to be better this year. I expect Caleb Williams to be a better quarterback than Justin Fields. I think Caleb Williams is a huge winner. I think just as a prospect in general, I'm much higher on Caleb Williams than I was Justin Fields coming out of college. And I love Justin Fields coming out of college, but I'm that damn high on Caleb Williams. I think Caleb Williams is incredible. Really reminds me of like a Aaron Rodgers. Really reminds me of an Aaron Rodgers. But with that being said, Chicago would love to have Aaron Rodgers on their team.
I would, but just the thought. Okay.
But with that being said, let's think about Keenan Allen.
Keenan Allen. All right.
What has been Keenan Allen's bread and butter over the last couple of seasons in fantasy football? He has been a high volume PPR machine. The Los Angeles Chargers have thrown the football a heavy amount. And when they're throwing it to Keenan Allen because he has virtually been the only wide receiver weapon there. There's been Mike Williams, but he's been hurt. Josh Palmer's, Gerald Everett's, doesn't matter. Keenan Allen has been the guy to get the football, and he's been seeing the football 140, 150 times a season. That's the way that it's been going for Keenan Allen. That will not happen in Chicago.
I agree.
DJ Moore is a better wide receiver right now, today, than Keenan Allen. It's not a knock on Keenan Allen. Keenan Allen's fantastic. He's been an incredible wide receiver throughout the course of his career. DJ Moore is better than him right now. He will be the number one option. He will be the number one read. A more crowded offense with Cole Kmet there. There's potentially a chance for you guys to add another wide receiver still.
Gerald Everett.
Gerald Everett's there, who he was competing with in Los Angeles. Not crazily, but he had him there as well. Another mouth to feed. DeAndre Swift there. I think DeAndre Swift, hot take. Don't hate me, guys, if you don't like this take. But I think DeAndre Swift is better today than what Austin Eckler was last year for the Los Angeles Chargers.
Yeah.
And my final point for why I think that Keenan Allen would be a loser in this situation, You go to a rookie quarterback. As much as I love Caleb Williams, we know that as a rookie, typically they aren't sitting out here throwing the football 400, 500 times. You just don't make a rookie do that. That's not what you do for their development. Nobody does that. CJ Stroud had the best rookie quarterback season of all time. You know how many times he threw the football? Not even in the top 10 in the NFL. Not even in the top 10. He was like 14.
I can think of one guy they did do Andrew Luck. They did do it to Andrew Luck.
What happened to him?
He got beat up.
All right. So he threw the football a ton. I see we got BDG in here. They say, "Hang, what up, man? Appreciate you being in here." So I do think that even though the situation for Caleb Williams is going to be incredible, it's not the best. It's not the best situation for Keenan Allen. It's not a bad situation for Keenan Allen, but it's not an upgrade to what he had before. Because when your bread and butter is a high volume, high pass catching receiving role, and you now go from the number 1 to the number 2 and probably less passing volume, it's just the way that it's going to be. It's a downgrade, not a big loser, but I think a loser.
All right, fine. All right, I see your point. I see why you got him as a loser. I get it. Keenan Allen, he's probably not going to be getting as much value. It makes too much sense. It's one of those things. It's great in real life, but fantasy, not so much. That's a good question.
What do you think?
That's a good question. Yeah. I hate to say it like.
I think by default, yes, a little bit, but I don't think for long. It could be 1 year where he's like a slight bump this year from where he was last year, but then next year he's right back up there because they start throwing the football more. But also, I think he's the number 1 target, so I don't know if it really dips that much. I think the difference for me is when you're a rookie quarterback, the NFL game is so much quicker than the college game that a lot of the times these rookie quarterbacks, it's like first read, maybe get to my second read. If I get to both of those, I'm either throwing it away or I'm running with my legs. Like that's the way that we're doing this, right? And Caleb Williams, he's good off script. That's really actually one of the best traits of his game is he's really good off script. But did you know that Caleb Williams threw the football away more than any other college football quarterback last season? He's smart. He's smart as hell. When chaos happens, he gets rid of the football. That's what happens. Or he makes the play downfield.
Couldn't throw the ball away.
So to me, I think first read DJ Moore, if he's open, he's getting the football. That doesn't change. First read DJ Moore, boom. Not there. I'm going to look for Keenan Allen. If Keenan Allen's not open, throw the football away. It's just not going to be the same type of volume.
Yeah, and there's this disinformation campaign going on about Caleb Williams. Like he can't stand in the pocket and deliver. Like he just out there freaking running around in circles like Fran Tarkenton or something. Like, come on, guys. Come on. Let's get serious here.
Jalen says, believe it or not, I found BDG through Andrew, not vice versa. And that's a flex, Jalen. I don't know if you knew. You just gave me a flex, bro. I appreciate you. Nick, if you're still in the chat, I love you, bro. But that's a flex for me, dog. So appreciate you. But Ward, do we have anything else about Keenan Allen and the Bears? I mean, I laid out the facts to you. How do you feel about that take now? Do you kind of see where I'm coming from at this point?
Yeah,
or is this something you still disagree?
I do. I feel good about it in real life. Like that's a great problem to have. Like, but
Caleb Williams is a huge winner. Like it's obviously free agent winners, but Caleb Williams is a huge winner. So to go back to Jalen's question from the beginning is like, how did this help or hinder Caleb Williams? Caleb Williams is set up to come into one of the best situations we could possibly ask for right now.
Yeah, which is
so good defense
because the Bears who set it up.
Yeah. So,
oh man.
All right, man. Well, let's move on to the next one.
Man, I agree.
Fair enough. I'm glad I can present the information then. So let's move on to your next one. You said a big loser here is going to be DeAndre Hopkins of the Tennessee Titans. I think the Titans in general are losers at this point. And I'll get into that a little bit more. But talk to me about DeAndre Hopkins. And then I really do want to talk about my son, Tyjae. I want to talk about Tyjae because I thought when you said Tennessee, I thought we were going to talk about him as a loser. I think he has probably been a loser of this free agent cycle as well. But let's talk about DeAndre Hopkins, then we can talk Tyjae Spears.
I mean, we can, because DeAndre Hopkins, I wish you told me I had to pick a player, so I picked him. But really, me and you are kind of on the same page. It's really a team-wide destruction of fantasy football. DeAndre Hopkins, he's simply a loser because you already got a young stud on the team. What kind of stud? You bring in Calvin Ridley, right? Bring in Calvin Ridley. You know, he's already aging. I mean, I think that they did. I'll put it to you like this in plain and simple terms. Nothing that happened with the Titans this year, this offseason, helps DeAndre Hopkins. It doesn't. I can't name one good thing. You can say, oh, yeah, well, maybe Ridley could take the attention away from him. And then he's going from being basically the sole receiver to like having another guy there. I don't think that's going to help him. It's like a worse version of what Keenan Allen is about to go through.
Yeah,
because now you're adding a guy to a team that didn't really throw the ball at all. So the whole value thing, you're trying to split less volume. It just doesn't make, you know what I mean? So I mean, I just think he's definitely a loser in this whole thing.
Yeah, I mean, and let's give context to it, because I think everything we knew, and this is, I think, the summary of the Tennessee Titans conversation that we're going to have here, is everything we knew about the Tennessee Titans coming into this offseason is now irrelevant. Nothing that we knew matters anymore because everything has changed. New head coach, Brian Callahan. New wide receiver 1, Calvin Ridley. New running back 1A, 1B, Tony Pollard. Will Levis, still the quarterback. A team that threw the football the second lowest passing attempts in the NFL last year. The offense could be totally different. So that rushing under Mike Vrabel, it could be different now that it's Brian Callahan. What DeAndre Hopkins was seeing from volume standpoint could be different. What Tyjae Spears was projected to receive from a volume standpoint could be different. All of this is different. And I think really where it is like, and where you tell me if I'm wrong, it feels like to me, this is a team, and I think we said this last year in our fantasy preview for the Tennessee Titans. I mentioned that I felt like this was a team being ran by an ownership group that wasn't willing to admit that they were a rebuilding roster and kept trying to compete. This is your Dynasty Fantasy Football manager who has a bunch of aging vets, has no draft capital, and they keep trying to push the chips in to win a championship, and the team gets worse and worse and worse and worse every year. This is that roster in the NFL. The problem here is I don't know if there's a single guy on this team that I feel comfortable rostering on my fantasy football roster at this point. I think Calvin Ridley, I don't really have any interest in putting him on my roster unless it's very, very low value. Like if he's my wide receiver 5, wide receiver 6, sure.
Whoa.
DeAndre Hopkins, have no interest in having him on my roster. Tony Pollard, not really interested at the cost. Tyjae Spears,
hold.
A hold. If there was a value dip, which there should have been a value dip on Tyjae Spears, I'm willing to buy in at a second, but that's probably what you had to pay to get Tyjae in your rookie drafts last year when you were drafting him as a rookie. Yeah. So it's back to probably the original cost of what Tyjae was at. Will Levis, I don't really want him on my roster, but I guess of all the pieces, I think he's the one I'm the most interested in of all the pieces. I'm a little
interested in him. Yeah.
And so
I'll be honest, I've tried to acquire him this offseason. I've tried to acquire him. Yeah.
Yeah, but he's like a guy that like I'll give you a second, but I won't give you a first.
I agree.
But I don't know if the guy who has Will Levis will sell me him for a second.
I'm sure going to try.
It's worth a try. But I think he's the one that I get just slightly interested in. Other than that, I would say everybody here feels like they lost because DeAndre Hopkins the value is going to go down. It has to go down. Age, opportunity, all of those things, a year older, less volume. Tyjae Spears, I said on multiple videos this offseason how much I liked him, how much I thought he could be a breakout candidate, how much, all of these things. On my free agent running back preview, I said they're going to add a running back, but my thought process was they liked Tyjae enough that the running back they added was going to be an A.J. Dillon, was going to be a Devin Singletary, was going to be a guy that would come in and kind of play the running back position differently than Tyjae does, because they're going to be replacing Derrick Henry, a guy who's a bigger running back, plays on the goal line, things like that. Tyjae's a faster, kind of shifty guy with less volume. They had Tony Pollard in one of the most questionable free agent signings of the period, I think. And questionable in the aspect of, one, a bad football team paying a running back good money when you already have a running back on the roster that you used a second round or a third round draft pick on last year. And then not only that, the running back that you signed for less money or signed for more money than what Derrick Henry took to go to Baltimore. And Tony Pollard plays the same style of running back as Tyjae Spears. So you're virtually signing the same back that you already have, but the back that you have is on a rookie contract. None of it made sense. None of it still makes sense. And I think because of that, unfortunately, as much as I like Tyjae Spears, we have to devalue him now from where he was being valued at before.
I think the Titans will find out real quick that Tony Pollard is just a guy. And then they're going to realize they wasted a whole bunch of money.
It's not good, man. It's not good. And I think because of that, everybody there's a loser. I even think the landing spot of Tennessee for Calvin Ridley is a loser type of landing spot compared to where we thought he could go. Yeah. There was plenty of other better landing spots that he could have went that would have been better than this.
Should have went back to where he was.
You go to Jacksonville, it's better than this. You go to, he signed obviously a lot more money than what Kansas City paid Hollywood Brown, but you had teams like the Kansas City Chiefs needing wide receiver. You had all these other teams in here, and we go even where they're paying Curtis Samuel money to go play in Buffalo, and he's signing with the Tennessee Titans. I get it. He's getting a payday. He got a big payday. The meme is that they paid Calvin Ridley at 29 years old what they weren't willing to pay A.J. Brown at 25 years old when they traded him. It's crazy, but at the same time, it's a lose-lose situation for pretty much everyone in Tennessee. And I'll tell you right now, going into redraft season, going into startup season, going into a lot of this, all of these draft seasons, I can't tell you that I'll have many, if any, Tennessee Titans on any of my rosters.
And nobody will blame you.
They shouldn't. So let's talk about the last guy, and we'll get on out of here. And this is going to hurt me a little bit, War. I didn't show you this.
Uh-oh.
Loser of this free agent period. Jordan Addison.
Oh!
Look, man, we got to talk about it. There's an elephant in the room. As much as I love my Minnesota Vikings, as much as I wish that everybody on the Minnesota Vikings could be winners, I got to be real.
Okay.
When you go from Kirk Cousins to a rookie quarterback, we talked about this same exact scenario with Caleb Williams and Keenan Allen. When you go from that type of situation, and keep in mind, we are not even as guaranteed into a rookie quarterback as you guys. You guys have number 1. We have 11 right now. It could be Sam Darnold. That would be worst case scenario, but it would be Sam Darnold. If that is the issue, if that's the situation here, you can't tell me that Jordan Addison is going to be able to be sustainable in an offense that has Justin Jefferson. Justin Jefferson is going to get his. We've seen in offenses where Nick Mullins was the quarterback, where Joshua Dobbs was the quarterback last year, Justin Jefferson got his. He was still getting 14, 15 targets a game, and he was fine. But what's going to happen is that second read, the second option, we're not looking your way. And to be honest, can we even feel confident probably early on in the season we can feel confident. But when TJ Hawkinson gets back in the lineup and he's healthy, are we confident that Jordan Addison is the receiving or the second receiving option, or is he the third?
He's definitely the third. He's the third, no matter what.
I mean, well, TJ's out of the lineup early on in the year.
Yeah. Anytime you got JJ and TJ, then Addison's the third guy. Yeah.
And not only that, the Vikings showed their hand a little bit in free agency by going out and paying Aaron Jones to come in and be the running back. They want to get back to the run game. The run game was non-existent last year. They didn't have a run game, and it showed. When you look at passing volume, Minnesota threw the football 631 times. That was 5 short of the NFL's highest passing volume offense. It's because they didn't have a run game. You get Aaron Jones, Ty Chandler, even what Kwesi was saying in his presser the other day where he said that he likes some of the rookie running backs in this class. Sounds like they might not even be done adding to that room. They want to get that run game back. You get a downgrade in quarterback. For now, I'm not saying that whoever the quarterback is going to be a downgrade. I have a lot of faith in who Drake May is as a prospect. If they can trade up to 3 and get Drake May, I think the future outlook of what Jordan Addison is much better than what it was, a month ago. But the immediate time being, we got to downgrade Jordan Addison a little bit. And I think he's being overvalued in the community right now based on these facts. It's just, unfortunately, as much as I like him, he's a loser of this situation.
Yeah, I agree, man. The Sam Darnold thing is kind of confusing. I mean, maybe if he's the quarterback, catch lightning in the bottle, you get week 18, Sam Darnold, and he's sitting there slinging it to JJ and Addison. I don't think that's going to happen. The rookie, if anything, it just solidifies. TJ comes back. The rookie's probably going to be using the security blanket a lot. That's not going to be Addison. So, yeah, man, I agree, man. Addison probably has to take a step back. I think he still has a bright future. It's just that for the immediate, until, like you said, with Caleb, that next season comes around and hopefully that rookie is putting up more numbers, then you'll probably see a nice little bump for Addison. So he's a hold. He's a hold for me.
Yeah, I honestly, I have Addison in multiple leagues. He's just a guy that where he was being taken in rookie drafts last year just matched up with a lot of where my teams were. I ended up acquiring a lot of Jordan Addison. I've been looking at ways to kind of cross into a different wide receiver in the same tier, just get out and into a different situation. I've had no success really up to this point, but I've looked at maybe moving Addison for Zay. I feel like both should be very similarly valued, but Zay has a clear situation. So I've tried doing that. No bites. Even moving from Jordan Addison into T Higgins or things like that. No real bites. It feels like a lot of the sentiment here is that people want to just sit and wait and see what happens with Jordan Addison. Let's just, and the people who have him know that, and the people who would be buying feel like they'll let the guy who has him figure that out.
Yeah, because someone tried to come to me and offer me Addison for Devonta Smith, and I was just like, no, no thanks.
Yeah, and the role says AD Mitchell or Jordan Addison. For me, I like AD Mitchell. Right now, he is my wide receiver 5 in this class. He's in that 4 and 5 range for me in this class with Brian Thomas Jr. in the same tier as Troy Franklin. That's where I have the guy. In a startup today, if you're trying, or actually let's talk about it from a trade perspective. From a trade perspective today, if you're trading for a rookie pick that could be AD Mitchell, I like the liquidity of having the rookie pick because you don't have to draft AD Mitchell. You could use that as a trade piece later that I feel like would be more valuable than Jordan Addison is. In a startup, if you're picking rookies between AD Mitchell today without knowing the landing spot and Jordan Addison today, I lean Jordan Addison. But if he gets a killer landing spot, I could be on the other side of the fence here in just a short month's time. So it's a similar range. But I think today, if I'm in a startup and both of these guys are on the board, we don't know AD Mitchell's landing spot, I'm taking Jordan Addison today. And that's really all I have, War. What do you Do you have anything else for Jordan Addison? I know Jay Lynn's in here. He wants to tell us how he made a trade for Caleb Williams real quick, just while I got you on here.
All right, let's go.
All right. Jay Lynn says, I'm extremely excited about Caleb. I traded the 101 in a 32-team salary cap league and a 12-team super flex. He said, I also have a late first in a 1 QB, taking Caleb everywhere. And he says, in the 32-team league, he wanted to tell us how he got the 101. He said it was Tua and a 2025 first, which is projected late. Feels like a good deal to go Tua and a 25 first for Caleb Williams. What do you think? 32 team, it makes it really deep. But I like being able to go and get your guy.
I like that deal, especially since it's like I like that deal. I don't mind it.
I agree. I like
especially,
it.
Especially if it fits your timeline of where your team is.
Agreed. I agree. All right, man. So that's that's all we had today. We wanted to give you guys 4 winners, 4 losers from the free agent cycle. I think what we're going to do next week, War, is we are going to record a startup mock draft. We'll do a mock draft. And what we're going to do is probably 10, 12 rounds. We'll do that mock draft with subscribers, with Discord members. So if you want to be in the mock draft with us next week, make sure you're a member of that Discord. We also had one more thing in here from Jake. Jake says, do you guys give advice on rosters? I'm in desperate need of advice of what to do with my options. I give roster advice in that Discord 24/7, 365. So Jake, if you need advice on that roster, go join that Discord. It is going to be linked in the description. It's free to join. So go join that for the roster advice for anything you guys need to be in trade shows, roster shows, mock drafts, rookie mock drafts, all that stuff, guys. It's where you want to be. And with that being said, War, if you guys have got to this point in this video, if you're watching on the replay, if you're watching on the live stream, I see we got lots of people in here. Hit that like button. That like button is the best free way to show our channel some support. So that is the best thing that you guys can do for us right now. Hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, comment on our video, comment in the comment section down below. That tells YouTube that you guys found this video interesting, if you did find it interesting. And then that helps push us out to more people, getting us a wider reach, getting us a larger audience, which helps a small channel, a small independent creator like us kind of get some more growth, see some more growth. And that's what we want, guys. We want to help build a big community here at the League FFB. Griffin says, you've been able to golf in New Jersey yet? Not yet. Unfortunately, not yet. It's getting close, getting very close. I think at the end of the month, I'll be back on the golf course. But with that being said, guys, that is all we have for you today. War, tell them where they can find your channel. If you guys don't know, War does WWE, AEW, pro wrestling content on YouTube. War, let them know where they can find you.
You can find me at the Crimson Mass Show over on YouTube. Please like, please subscribe. Right now, I'm in the lab. I'm working on some new content, switching some things up. But we still at it. We ain't going nowhere. We gonna be here. So check us out, the Crimson Mass Show. Check us out.
There you go. And Jalen says gonna give you a follow, Deez. So there you are, man.
My God.
All right, guys. We'll see you on the next one. Until then, peace out.